Welcome to another Japanese with Josh video, everybody. This one's going to be a little different because I have a crying baby next to me, so I'm going to record this like off and on, depending on when he's crying and when he's not. And also the camera is in an awkward angle, but it is a new camera, so hopefully it looks prettier than the other one. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the H hiragana sounds, the B hiragana sounds, and the P hiragana sounds. So ha, hi, hu, he, ho, or ha, hi, hu, he, ho. Ba, bi, bu, be, bo, and pa, pi, pu, pe, po, which are all the same symbol with different 10-10 marks on it, which I'm going to get into in just a second. Okay, so let's hop over to the tablet really quick and we'll go over the H sounds in hiragana. So right here we have ha, hi, hu, he, ho, or ha, hi, fu, he, ho. This one in the middle right here, this hu one right here, can be pronounced as fu as well. It kind of depends on the word and it kind of depends on the person. Some people pronounce it a little bit differently. So that is the baseline hiragana for what we are learning today, and we are going to get started with ha. Let's take a look at the pieces that make this one up as well as the stroke order for ha. So first we have a vertical line with a little tail at the end of it, just very similar to ke and other hiragana symbols we've done. Next we have a horizontal line, also similar to ke as well. And then we have another line that comes down and makes a circle at the bottom of that. So here are all the pieces that make up the hiragana for ha. So for ha, we come from the top to the bottom and make a little hook at the bottom of that right there. Then we go from left to right to make the line that goes across, just like almost every other symbol in Japanese goes left to right when you're making a horizontal line. Then from the top of this line right here, we come down, make a little loop, and exit our way out. So that is how you make the hiragana ha. Let me write that a little bit faster so it looks a little bit more natural to how I would actually write it. Again, the hiragana that have this little like tail piece at the bottom, you don't necessarily need that. A lot of the times when I write ha, I just write it like this with just a straight line. You can get away with a straight line or a curved line. You can put a little tail on it if you want. Handwriting is a little bit different. I would say most people probably put a little bit of a tail. I guess now that I think about it, when I write really quickly, I kind of do put a tail on it still, but it's just kind of looks like that when I write it. So almost like ke. Ke looks like this. But what we do is we extend that out and make a little circle at the very end. So that's ke, that's ha. That's ke, that's ha. Pretty simple. Let's move on to hi. Hi. Hi looks a little funny. It's kind of like an awkward U in English, but it's one stroke, so it's pretty easy to draw. Here's what it looks like. Yeah, like I said, it's one stroke, so I don't know why I did this one. Let me just show you how you draw hi. So for hi, we start in the top left. We come up like this, come back down, make a little loop, come back down at the end of that. That is hi. That's actually pretty much the way that everybody draws hi. Let me do it a couple more times a little faster to kind of make it a little bit more natural looking. Up, down, up, hi. Up, down, up, hi. Now what you want to keep in mind is you don't want to make these lines like too big or too small. That looks a little weird. You know, that looks a little off. And you don't want to make it so small that you barely notice it. Again, this is all one stroke, so you should not be going like this to make it. It's all one stroke. So up, down, up, back. Just like that. Hi. Pretty simple. Let's move on to hu or fu. This is one that some people have a little bit of difficulty with, so maybe pay attention and draw this one a lot to practice. So hu or fu can be written a couple different ways. I write it the way that I'm going to show you first, and then I will show you a second way that some people write it, but I think most people kind of write it the same way that I do. Here's how it looks. Bam. So I realized that I forgot to put each one of these on a different layer, but yeah, it doesn't matter. You'll still be able to see it just as easily, I guess. So we start off with this awkward looking 3 shape that's kind of thin at the bottom. Then we add a little line on the left hand side and a line on the right hand side. So this is what each one of those pieces looks like. So awkward looking 3, a little line, and then a little line. Here's how I would write that personally. What I do is I start from the top, I come back down around just like that, add the line, add the line. Pretty much just like that. It's not too difficult to do. Let me do that a couple more times so you can see it. Mine kind of look like this sometimes, so it kind of looks like a 3. You know, if I was gonna draw numbers like this, I don't make my 3s like that, but it does look a lot like a 3. So kind of like a 3. You want to make sure that this part right here doesn't actually come out super far though. Usually mine are kind of more thin at the bottom right there. So yeah, just kind of a little squiggly 3, then a line, then a line. Probably want to bring those lines more on either side of it. So that is hu or fu. Depending on what word you're saying and depending on where you're from, you might pronounce it differently. The second way to write it looks like this. Instead of putting this first piece into one spot like that, they separate these 2 top pieces. So this would be 4 strokes. So it would look like this when you draw it, kind of like this a little bit. I think this looks a little weird. I have a hard time drawing it this way, so the way that I draw it is just to make that first piece all connected. I feel like it's a lot easier. Moving on to he. So he just kind of looks like a little awkward shaped mountain. Let's look at what those pieces are. Again, it's one piece. I don't know why I do these pages for the one piece hiragana, but there you go. Here's how I would draw this. You come from the bottom left, you go up to the top right, and then you come back down around just like that. You just make it like a weird looking mountain shape. Just like that. Bam. And that is he. That is the hiragana for he. Also pronounced e if it's used as a particle. So he or e. And that reminds me, like I mentioned before in many other videos, this ha symbol right here is used in place of wa. So when we see a word that is pronounced wa, but it's spelled ha as a particle, we're using this ha right here. So like watashi wa, anata wa, biru wa, isu wa, anything that's wa like that as a particle is actually spelled with the hiragana for ha. So now that might make sense to you. And the last hiragana on the H list is ho, which is pretty much the same thing as ha, but with a line at the top of it. So let's take a look at what breaks down this hiragana right here. So we have the traditional little curved line with a hook at the end of it. That's like for ke and for ha and for a lot of other hiragana symbols. Next we have a line that goes on top that's almost the same height as that first line right there. Then we have a second line that goes underneath the first line. And then we have that little loop thing that we saw with the hiragana ha. So all those pieces together look like that. And here is how I would draw this. So I'll start with that little curved line with a little tail at the end of it, a horizontal line at the top, horizontal line in the middle, and then a line coming down from the bottom, just like that right there. Make sure that when you draw this second line right here that you don't go through both of them. It has to be like a little hat, almost. So it's like a little guy with a little hat at the top. You don't want to go above it. That's weird. Don't do that. Just do it like this. Let me show you a little bit more handwriting version of that hole right there. I might do it a little bit more like that. So kind of the little tail a little bit sometimes, not really great. And it doesn't have to be perfectly in the middle. This is still a hole, but you want to make sure that you get as close as you can in the middle. I mean, it's not like that. That's really weird. And it's definitely not like that, like I mentioned. So just kind of try to get it close to this right here when you're drawing it. I would recommend that you draw these over and over again. Ha, hu, and ho are ones that people tend to have issues with. Hu is just awkward. A lot of people mix up ha and ho because they're only one line away. So yeah, probably just practice those pretty well. Now let's talk about dakuten and handakuten. You maybe have heard me talk about tenten before when I said, sa, shi, su, se, so with the little quotation marks, or tenten as I referred to them as, turn sa, shi, su, se, so into za, ji, zu, ze, zo. That tenten mark, the little two lines, is actually called dakuten. Dakuten is the correct term for it. A lot of people just call it tenten. I call it tenten. But yeah, dakuten is what that's called. Now, ha, hi, hu, he, ho, when you put a dakuten on it, becomes ba, bi, bu, be, bo. So it turns that H sound into a B sound, as in boy, B as in boy. So it's not ha, hi, hu, he, ho, but ba, bi, bu, be, bo. Pretty easy to understand. Tenten marks, the dakuten marks on the H sounds become B sounds. But the H sounds have a third sound, which is called a handakuten, which means a half ten mark, like a half dakuten mark. And that is a circle. So with the H sounds, you can put a circle in the top right corner instead of those two lines, and it actually turns the H sound into a P sound. So it is not ha, hi, hu, he, ho, or ba, bi, bu, be, bo. It is pa, pi, pu, pe, po. P as in papa, or pizza, or Papua New Guinea. I don't know why I thought of that country, but anyways, P. So pa, pi, pu, pe, po if it's got a circle, and ba, bi, bu, be, bo with a B if it has the dakuten. So dakuten, the two slashes, is a B, and the circle, the handakuten, is a P. B, P, just kind of depends on which mark you put above it. Let's talk about some vocabulary words that you can make with ha, hi, hu, he, ho, ba, bi, bu, be, bo, and pa, pi, pu, pe, po to finish off this video. For ha, we have hashi, which could be chopsticks or could be bridge. We also have hana, which means flower. We also have hana, which is... Okay. We're gonna have to finish this video with Theo the dinosaur right here because he will not be quiet unless I hold him, so I apologize. But anyways, it is what it is. Ready for the rest of the video? Okay, we're gonna talk about vocabulary words really quick. Let's go over them. We have... Here's a word for you, nakimushi, which means cry bug, which is kind of like crybaby in Japanese. Right now, Theo is being a nakimushi, which means crybaby. For ha, we have hashi, which can mean bridge or chopsticks, depending on how you use it. We also have hana, which can mean nose or flower. For hi, we have hito, which means person, and hikoki, hikoki, which means airplane. For hu or fu, we have hune, which means boat. We also have futsu. Futsu means usually. So you could say, futsu ni asa gohan o tabanai desu. I usually don't eat breakfast. For he, we have heya. Now, I've not taught you ya yet, but to make the word heya, you have to learn ya. So there's ya. I'll teach it to you later on. Heya means room. We also have heta, which means bad. So you could say, basketball ga heta desu. I'm really bad at basketball. For ho, we have hoshi. Hoshi means star. Not to be confused with hoshii, which means to want. So like miruku hoshii means I want milk, but hoshi means star in the sky. Lastly, for ho, we have honto. Honto means really. So I could say, Theo wa honto ni nakimushi desu. Theo is really a crybaby. Moving on to the B sounds. For ba, we have baka. Baka means stupid or idiot. So if you say, hey, anata wa baka desu, means you are an idiot or you are a moron, you are stupid. For B, we have bichi, which means beach. Now technically this should be spelled in katakana, but for just learning purposes, bichi means beach. For bu, we have bunka, which means culture. Sorry, I forgot for a second. Bunka means culture. So Nihon no bunka is Japanese culture. For be, we have bento. Bento is like a lunchbox. So if you go and you get a bento box for like school or for work or whatever in Japan, it'll be a box of food. It'll have rice, some sort of like protein or meat with some vegetables and things like that. Miso soup perhaps. So bento box. It's like a lunchbox. And for bowl, we have boshi. Boshi means hat. So it's like, I'm wearing a boshi right now. Ima wa boshi o kabutte imasu. I am wearing a hat on my head. Boshi. Moving on to the P sounds. For pa, we have pachinko. Now this is another one that is usually just spelled in katakana, but pachinko are kind of like Japanese slot machine, like gambling places. Pachinko is what those are called. Pachinko parlors. For P, we have pika pika, which is, very similar to the Pokemon Pikachu, but actually it means sparkle or twinkle. It's like a Japanese onomatopoeia. We also have inpitsu. Inpitsu means pencil, so it's, inpitsu. Although this should be spelled in katakana probably, just to teach you a word, inpitsu means pencil. We also have kippu. Kippu. Now this one has a chisai tsu, which means that we pause between the ki and the pu, so it's not kippu, but kippu. Kippu means ticket, like a train ticket. For pe, we have pen, which means pen. Again, this is another one that should be written in katakana, but now that you know the hiragana for this word, I'm just going to teach you this in hiragana first. Pen means pen, like the writing pen. We also have peko peko. Peko peko is Japanese onomatopoeia. It's used to describe being hungry. So you could say, onaka ga peko peko, my stomach is hungry. Or you could just say, peko peko, means I'm hungry. Kind of like peckish. That could be a way to remember that. Peko, peckish. For po, we have sampo, which means a walk. So not to walk, but sampo means like a walk. So like take your dog on a walk. Go on a walk with a friend. So sampo, a walk. Thank you for watching, everybody. I appreciate you for sticking around so far with the dinosaur baby screaming in the background a lot, so I had to stop and edit, so you might have heard him here and there. Next week's video is going to be on body parts in Japanese. So part 2 of this video is going to go over hands, fingers, knees, toes, shoulders, face, nose, all that stuff. So if you're interested in learning how to say different body parts in Japanese, keep in mind that I'll be doing that next week. The additional Patreon video, which you would get if you are a Patreon supporter, by the way, it's only $10 a month. It's patreon.com/JoshTheCollins. The Patreon video for this week is how to type in Japanese. So how to use a Japanese keyboard on a computer and on a smartphone. Something that you'll need to know how to use if you're going to be learning Japanese in general. So that is the Patreon video for this week, which comes out on Friday. If you're interested in subscribing to my Patreon, like I said, it's patreon.com/JoshTheCollins. I'll also put a link to this in the description. Lastly, the Kuchi Sabishi shirts and hoodies are still available. You do get $10 off if you're on my Patreon, which is only $10 a month, by the way. So if you go on my Patreon and pay $10 a month, you get $10 off on the hoodies. So if you want to get a hoodie anyways, might as well subscribe to the Patreon. Yeah, those are still available at VavalonClothing.com/new products. I've got a link for that in the description as well. Go check them out. They're really, really cool. I would really appreciate you guys getting one. And I guess that's it. Have a great day. Have a great night wherever you're at. I appreciate your time today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.